Today at shopdap.com, we talk about what not to do after lowering your car. Okay, so every video that we've ever shot DIY related to suspension components on this car and probably multiple other cars that we've shot, I've talked about getting alignments after getting your vehicle lowered, because when you take apart any suspension component, you're going to have more likely chance that you're going to be out of alignment afterwards. So the advice is always going to be to lower your vehicle or do whatever work you're going to do. In the case of a suspension like springs, allow it to settle for maybe 2 weeks and then go get an alignment. Align with them and their quality alignment racks, or alignment. All those are the main things you got to look out for alignments, but alignment, spec alignment, if you're including installment and alignment of springs on a vehicle, adjusting of the alignment. I did not listen to that because my current life has been pretty crazy. Over the past few months, we've been under construction under our new location, which we're now in. I was building a house. I also have now a newborn baby, and we were moving out of one house into temporary living and all that stuff. So I have not listened to my own advice, and so we're using this as an opportunity to show you why you should do that. Much like your dad used to say back when you were a kid, do as I say, not as I do. Maybe that was just my dad. Okay, so here we are at our front tire. Now this was rotated from the rear, and the reason I'm showing you this one first is because the angles of our alignment, pre-alignment, were actually off toe-wise in the rear. So we're gonna take a look at that. And really, it's not too much that's too visually bad, although you can see some wear on this inside edge here a little bit. It is going to be worn more there than anywhere. So there's two major things that you're concerned about when doing alignment. So toe is going to be an angle that if your toe is out after a suspension install, and let's say you drive the car a few thousand miles, you can probably smoke a set of tires in a few thousand, 5,000 miles, depending on how bad your toe is out and the driving conditions and stuff like that. So because your toe means that, let's say you're for a over the top example, that your tire is, let's say, turned in. This would be toe, is in out turn, like you would steer, but it means that it's steering in the opposite direction even when the car is supposed to be going straight. It means that as you're driving, you're fighting against the road the entire time you're driving. That's why it will destroy a tire super fast. So mostly what you're going to see here in these is these tires aren't really smoked, luckily so that I did this before there was any major problem. But these are not cheap tires. These are Michelin Pilot Super Sports, but we're starting to get cupping on them, which cupping is mostly something that's not as much of a wear issue as much as it is a drivability issue. You will get tires. First of all, you're not getting a good contact patch because cupping, and we'll show you an indication on screen, kind of a good examples of cupping, but essentially you'll feel it when you rub your hand across it, that each tread is kind of uneven, and it will be lower at one spot and then higher at the other. So when you rub across it, it will be kind of an uneven feel, not like a flat tire as you're rubbing your hand up and down the tread like so. So that's the easiest way to tell if you have cupping, and cupping on any tire will create a lot of road noise. So you will want to make sure that, just for the sake of drivability, you want to make sure you get alignments done to prevent that noise, because a lot of times people will think that they have a bad axle or something else, because bad tires can create a boatload of noise. And often you'll get that like after you rotate your tires, because the alignment was bad in the rear, you'll rotate it to the front, and then all of a sudden you have this noise in the front of your car, and you think you have something wrong because the noise just started, but it's related to a tire rotation. Here we have our before and after measurements from our alignment that we got done. Just want to talk real briefly about it so you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. So before we had this alignment done, now this is before as in the springs were already installed. This is not at the factory height. So as you can see, we do have camber, negative camber on both front and rear. Camber can be a wear angle, but it generally isn't going to wear tires terribly bad. Toe is going to be the one that can wear tires extremely bad and extremely fast, which is why you want to address that. So if you take a look, the driver's side front, as you can take a look, we actually were within spec. It's not exactly in the center. And then on the passenger side front, we are out of spec. And then the rear toe is both pretty far out on both of those angles. We do have camber again in the rear, but you can see that in all four corners we have a toe problem, which means that's going to be a major concern that you want to address. And again, camber is something that can be addressed on these cars by doing adjustable upper control arms, which I think I may have mentioned in our spring video, which we'll link in the description on this car, because they use 4-link suspensions as opposed to standard stuff that you might find in most VWs like we have in our Mark 7 DIY. If you look at our after, obviously the camber angles, because we don't have adjustable arms on this car yet, and we may at some point, just depending on whether we do that or not, you can see that the camber is still out because it's not adjustable as a factory angle, and then the toe is now in spec. So all of our stuff is in spec minus the camber angles, and now we are properly in spec as we would like to be for this vehicle. So now I can feel confident that we're not going to have any further wear issues with these tires, but I wanted to take my poor decisions and offer them as an insight for you guys, so that you can see something that happens that if you do not address issues with getting your alignment done properly. A lot of people are like, don't worry about it, but, you know, big deal, blah, blah, blah. You can have some really big problems. And I've done it in the past. I've destroyed sets of tires because I've driven too long without getting alignments, which is just a bad choice. So hopefully this helps and prevents somebody from doing the same thing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.